Hello and welcome back to my coding tutorial for C++. In the last part, we went over just basic file I/O and introduced you to string data type. In this video, I fully plan to let you guys know how conditional statements work. If you don't know what that is, it's basically kind of like an if-then statement. So for example, if it's Monday, then I'll go to work. Okay, so now we're going to just change this up a little bit. We're going to remove all of this. Just get rid of that. And we're going to go cout and our lesson signs, quotation marks. What is your age? Question mark. And I'm just going to keep it all in the same line. So now it won't go to the next line because I haven't put end line on there. What is your age? And now, because we're going to do a cin, we're going to need some sort of like a data type to hold it. So we're going to go int for an integer because we're just going to go with basic years, your 28 or 34. Okay, so we're going to call this age. So what is your age? Cin age. Now, whatever they put will be stored into age. Now, to do an if-else statement, you go if, and then in these brackets right here, you're going to put the condition. So if age let's see, equals 20. So basically, I'll explain this in a second. If age equals 20, and this one does not need a semicolon because, like main, it'll use these curly braces. Each if statement or else statement has the control of the first line underneath. So for example, we'll go cout crazy end line. Now if I want to do like crazy end line, you're 20. Oops, another mistake. You're 20 end line. As you may have noticed, these are at like a different indentation. And in Visual Studios, yes, that means something. Basically, everything indented under the if will happen if this condition is true. And I'll explain that condition in a second. So basically, even if I am you know what? I'm just going to show you. So we're going to build this up. And start without debugging. So what is your name? Chris. What is your age? So we're going to put 20. Crazy, you're 20. We did everything we said we were going to do. Let's try this one more time. Chris. 22. You're 20. What? Whoa. Hang on, why does it say I'm 20? It clearly says 22. It's because this happens regardless of this condition being true. So for that to have been included, we put these curly braces. and we're going to put the other curly brace here. So basically, everything inside these curly braces will happen if this condition is true. And I'm going to go over some of these things in a second. So, if age is 20, crazy, you're 20. What if it's not 20? So, if it's something else, then we go else. And just like if, we can do these curly braces for multiple statements. So, couch, you're not 20. There we go. So, now if we run this, we're going to build. And we're going to start with our debugging. And Chris, what is your age? I'm going to go 34. You're not 20. So now, what happens is I entered age. And basically what this double equal sign means is if it's equivalent. There's a big difference and a very, very easy bug to have if you're not careful about this. Well, age does not equal 20, so we don't do this. So we go to this other statement, else. So if the if statement is not true, then we do whatever's in the else. So for example, let's see, if I'm awake, I do stuff. Else, I'm asleep. That's a bad example, but pretty much if I'm awake, I'm doing things. If I'm not, well, then I'm asleep. Okay, so now that we've taken care of this, I'm just going to go over a few operators down here with you guys. So we've got the equals equals, less than, or so that's the greater sign. Okay. Okay, so these are kind of the basic things that you will be using. I'm just going to put this in. So now we've got two that look fairly similar. So this first one is the this is the assignment operator. Well, not this. This thing is the assignment operator. I'm just going to get rid of that. This one, is the equivalency. I'll call it the equivalency test. So basically, the difference between the statement age equals 20, between so the difference between these two things, the first statement, we're storing the value 20 into the data type, into like the data holder named age. In this statement, we're seeing whether or not the number inside of age is 20. So basically, this gives me back feedback, either true or false, which will be a Boolean variable, which I'm going to get into this time around. You know what, like a greater than or less than. So basically, So this one would be testing to see whether age was greater than 20. I'll give you a second just to guess what this statement is. If you said to test whether age was greater than or equal to 20, that would be correct. Basically, these are the same as this, except in the opposite way, to test if age was less than or equal to 20. But that's everything for now. Another thing you can do with if-else statements is you can have more than just an if and an else. So we're just going to take this away. You know what? Yeah, we're going to take this away. So what is it? You know what? No, let's keep this. What we can do is we can add an if onto this else. So else if. So basically, if this is true, then you do this. If it's not true, then the pointer is going to go down to this else. And we're going to go if age, let's push that back. Age is greater than 20. See out. See out. You're older. Can't call anyone old. Mostly because I think I might fit in that category. So else if age is greater than 20, you're older. Let's just copy this. And else you're younger. Okay, so basically what this is going to do is check and see first if the person is 20. If they're 20, they're going to do this. If they're not, the pointer's going to jump over to this else, and then if age is equal to or greater than 20, then it's going to check this, or then do this. If it's not, then it's going to jump over to the else. Now, we do it like this for a very specific reason, but you know, I'm just going to show you first. I get all this squared away, and then I'll talk a little bit more why we do it like this. Okay, Chris, what's your age? This is how old I am. You're younger? Wait a second. That's kind of a... That's a bug. Well, okay. We seem to be having a bug here. I don't know what's going on. So we're going to be doing a bit of debugging. This is a runtime error. Sometimes this kind of stuff happens. We should be saying we're older. So let's take a look. We're going to see out. Oops. Age. And we're going to end line, make things nice and easy for us. Build the solution. Debug. Start without debugging. Okay, and I just did a bunch of numbers. Well, that's odd. Let's try it one more time. Okay. What is your age? We'll call it 20. Well, that feels good and easy. Let's try one more time. With this huge number. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's a great name. Let's try one more time with this huge number. Huh. Well, here's the problem that's happening here. In my last video, I told you guys how these things work. They were short, int, and long. Basically, it's too big. The number that got so many things. Let's get rid of some of these. Basically, the number was so big that the computer just couldn't store it. So it just gave it some random default value, some garbage number. So now if we try it again, oops. We get this again. Another possible problem that could be resulting here is that we did not initialize. Basically, in order to be safe, you want to initialize every variable. It just makes it easier, it just makes it safer. So we're going to build, see if this can't fix our problem. So now we've got a bit of a problem. Whatever's happening here, it's not storing it into age. But maybe it's just too big. So let's try this one more time. We'll just use a high number, like 1,000. A long number can definitely accommodate 1,000. You're older. So basically, even then, I was using a number that was too big, too gargantuan for this. And unfortunately, if you use numbers that are too big, they'll break the system. So just keep that in mind as you're programming. So now then, the reason why we use else, if, and not just if, because this will work as well. It won't break your program. It won't do any of that. The reason why we don't do that is that basically we would save something in age. No, we're just going to get rid of this because we're all done our error checking. It'll check this, and if it's true, it'll do this. Then what the pointer is going to do, it's going to check this. But why would it check this if this was true? It's because that with an if-else statement, so if we're just going to go with if something happens. So if we have another one, else if age is less than 20. Cout. You're young. Now I know this makes zero sense. Oh yeah, since this is only one line, I can do it like this and it will still work, because flow of control, an if or an else or any of these statements can always control the first line underneath it. So the reason why we do if-else statements like this is that if this first one is true, well, it's not an else. So basically, this one was true, which means all of these are false, because it's an else. It's another option if the ones before it were not true. So basically, if this was true, we do this and then jump past all these else's. If this one was true, we would jump past all of these else's. If this one was true, then we jump past that else. This can get very convoluted if you got like a long string of them. So you know what? I'm going to change this up a little bit. We're going to use switch statements, which are kind of an alternative. Switch. Switch and age. So basically, switch is basically a different kind of if-else thing. It's structured somewhat differently. We use these cases. So the case I haven't really used these in a while, so now let's see if these work. Okay, so the thing is, with the cases, we have to have a constant value, like 1. So basically, if age was equal to 1, cout, here it is, you're 1. End line. So basically, if I'm 1, then end line, and break. Case 20. Oops. Let's just keep that. You're 20. Break and default. We'll call it you're not 1 or 20. And we won't need a break here. And let's get rid of that. Okay, so basically what this does is it takes the value of age and goes, if the case for age, if age is 1, then we're going to do this and we're going to break, which means we're going to get out of these curly braces. So just kind of like the if-else statement, it just jumps out. So if it was 20, then like it wasn't 1, so it's going to skip that. And if it was 20, it's going to do this your 20 statement. If it's none of the cases in the switch statement, it will automatically go down to default. Now, just like using an else in an if-else statement, if we took these breaks away, what would happen would be age would check against 1, or basically everything inside, if we had no breaks. So if age was 1, it would check to see if it was 1 and find it to be true, so it would go in. Then it would check to see if it was 20 and find that to be false. And I think it would do the default. You know what? Science. Let's figure it out. So, debug. Start without debugging. I think this might work. So Chris, what is your age? 1. You're 1. You're 20. You're not 1 or 20. So it just keeps going through each of them. Let's try it one more time, see what happens if I say 20. Chris, 20. You're 20. You're not 1 or 20. And start without debugging. Chris, 66. Oops. Oh, yeah, here's what happened. Like I said in the last video, I input 2 different things in the same line. The string took everything up till the white spaces and cut it off, and since 66 was waiting in the buffer, when it asked me for the age, it just grabbed the next thing in the buffer. Again, you can really screw with your programs like this, so be careful. And you're not 1 or 20. So basically, what happens is it just went through each thing without the break. So we're going to go break and see what happens then. Alright. Debug. Yeah, that's not debug. Chris. And 1. You're 1. Oh hey, we didn't have to deal with all that other stuff. It's because the statement break will break the pointer from these curly braces. Be careful with that, because that's essentially what break does. It breaks it out from the current set of curly braces that it's in. So if I put break here, what would happen? Ooh. Well, yeah, it wouldn't work because it has to be within a loop or a switch. Break just basically gets it out of what it's doing at the moment. But with that, I think I'm going to call it a video. We learned conditional statements, as well as what happens when you put numbers that are way too big inside of constrained spaces. I think as a bonus, I'll explain what I did down here. There's two different kinds of comments. There's these 2 forward slashes, and then there's the / and a star. Basically, the 2 forward slashes, you can write any kind of comments in the one line. In the /* you can write several lines of comments. And basically what comments will do, yeah, because you can see now they're different colors. What comments will do, it lets you just say in plain English what you're planning on doing. So for example, I'm just going to put a quick comment here. I'm going to check to see okay, 1 or 20. So basically, this statement, the compiler, when it goes through to check for any of my syntax errors or spelling mistakes, if you want to use real English, it will look at these two things and will omit this entire line from the compiling process. So what I can do is, if I want to say, you know what, I'm not going to use this piece of code for the next little bit, I can use the comments to get rid of it. And so the compiler sees this is a comment, so it doesn't do anything in that. And when it runs, you know, one more time, I'm just going to show you. What's your name? Chris. What's your age? I'm 20. Oh, we didn't go into here. That's because these are comments, and we don't execute comments. So it got to the end of this statement and jumped to the next legal statement, which was return 0, or the end of the program. So if you're coding and you have large codes, you're going to want comments because it makes your life easier. I'm just going to show you something just so that you guys can kind of understand. Let's see here. Here we go. I'm just going to pull up this assignment here. It's a much larger, more complicated assignment. As you can see, I've put comments in all over the place just so that I can kind of tell what I'm doing here. Because if I have to reread every line just to figure out what was going on in that section, it would just take me forever. Yeah, see, here's a switch statement being used in an actual program. Basically, this is actually a video game. And what some people would use for lines or comments is they just put like a line to say what the next block of code is doing. So in this block here, I'm just setting controls to move the camera around. You guys don't have to know that. That was just for my video game. So yeah, that is comments, that is conditional statements, and those are just basic operators. With that, I think I'll let you guys go now. I'd say definitely in your spare time, if you've got compilers, if you've got a means to write code, definitely practice this. Test it out, because stuff can happen, and it's best if you know what you're doing with this, because it is a huge part of coding, and you do need to know this. So, until next time, I'll be seeing you.